Hello, and welcome to Chatting GPT, the podcast where we talk to the humans who are actively implementing AI. This week, I have got the most exciting guest on the show. Mark Schaefer is a long-time hero of mine. I always refer to Mark as the thinking person's digital commentator. He has been podcasting for 13 years, an amazing show called The Marketing Companion. He has been writing books that always seem to time the market really well. He always seems to write a book about the very concept that's going to come up very soon. And when I asked him if he'd join me on the podcast and he said yes, I was beside myself with excitement. So Mark Schaefer, I'm so delighted to welcome you to Chatting GPT.
Well, it's great to see you. We've been friends for a long time and we're overdue for a chat.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what better way than to chat around your amazing new book, Audacious, and how to be spotted in marketing in an AI-driven world. I love everything about it. I sped read it, and I just love the ideas in it and all the really kind of cool things you do with all the QR codes and everything. Where did you get that idea from?
You mean for the QR code on the cover or for the book in general?
The QR code in the cover, and then we'll talk about the book.
Yeah. Well, when you call a book audacious, then it better be audacious. And so I had this idea, well, what if we had a book that the only thing on the cover was a QR code? Then what would you do with it? And the first idea was, what if it led you into like another world, a quest that was populated by characters from the book, and that became too expensive and too complicated. And so what we ended up doing was we uploaded the whole book onto AI, and we uploaded some sample art onto AI. And what happens when you click on the QR code, the cover changes. It's like the infinite cover, and it changes the cover with abstract art based on stories in the book. So and in a way, we'll get into this. It sort of demonstrates the ideas from the book because I'm communicating a story in an entirely new way.
In an audacious way.
Yeah, and I think that's a first in the world to have a book that's never the same way twice.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's really, really good. I highly recommend that everybody have a read of it. So there's a couple of ideas in it that really struck me. I love the idea about being dramatic. So obviously the whole premise of the book is that, in an AI-driven world, we have to stand out, we have to be bold, we have to do things differently. But talk to me about being dramatic and how just your bog standard company can actually bring that in and make that part of their process.
Yeah, I don't know if dramatic is the right word. I'd have to think about it, but it's certainly zigging when everybody else is zagging. And the premise of the book really is that we live marketing today and most business today is just a pandemic of dull. And there's research in the book that shows how most advertising, most marketing is boring. And there's an infrastructure in place that keeps us boring. We're rewarded for being boring because we don't want to upset anybody. We don't want to disrupt, an industry. We want to get something approved quickly through the legal department. We don't want to make a mistake. And yet here we are in this world where AI is nipping at our skill sets, nipping at our careers in many cases, and competent doesn't cut it. If you're just competent, you're vulnerable. Let's not sugarcoat it, right? AI is competent. It's more than competent. And if you're just creating something that's competent, you're ignorable, and you're going to be replaced. So we've got to find a way to reach down deep and look at what are the uniquely human things we can do in the marketing space. It's quite interesting. You think about this from a historical perspective. This is the first time in history you haven't been able to remain relevant by learning a new skill. You can't take a new class and be smarter than AI. You can't get a new degree and be smarter than AI. You have to out-human AI to compete with AI in your field. So that's really the theme of the book. Where are those places that, and a lot of these things are right in front of us and they're just overlooked. But there is a place for humans in the business world, the marketing world, and
I'm
that's
really
what
glad to hear that.
that's what I, yeah, me too. I was comforting myself, Maryrose.
No, I was really glad to hear that. But can I ask you a question? And this didn't come across to me from my reading of the book. And I was thinking, are you putting out that people should be breaking taboos and be audacious through every stage of their marketing, or through, like, using an old-fashioned term, let's say, through every stage of the marketing funnel? Or are you advocating that people be bold and audacious at the top stage and then move over to, AI generated content for mid and bottom funnel?
That's a great question. I'm glad you
And
asked that
you know,
because
in your list where you grade people, could
yeah,
you give me a 10 for that one?
yeah, it was a 10. Yeah,
Mark was saying in a recent
10 out of
podcast that he
10.
grades people on the quality of their questions. So I
Yeah,
spent quite a bit of time over the weekend using my head and not using AI, actually.
yeah. Well, and the reason I think that's such a good question is because if you look at the opportunities for the human element in business and marketing, there's a lot of different ways you can go. One of them is establishing a personal brand, right? Which I've written a lot about. If you have a personal brand, no matter what happens,
Known.
yeah, no matter what happens with AI, people are still going to come to you because they trust you and they love you and they want to hear from you. Now, I didn't get that into the book because the book would have become too big. Similarly, your question about the stages of the funnel. At the end of the book, I hint at, look, in this book, we're basically talking about disrupting the marketing narrative, the brand narrative. But if you look at the traditional 4 Ps of marketing, there's opportunities to be disruptive with your product, with your promotion, with your pricing, right? So I went down one route, but there certainly are ways to be disruptive in every piece of your marketing.
So you're saying all the way through, because I'm
Yes.
kind of thinking of how that would look like in real life, because being disruptive can't be it can't I'm gonna sound awful, it can't be scheduled as easily as the
Yeah.
rest of it can. So if I have to be disruptive at every stage of my funnel, I'm going to be just doing marketing the whole time. I'm not going to have much time to do much
Well,
else.
yeah. I mean, I think you do need to focus. I don't think you can do anything, but I think it's important to reinforce that. My book is it's a map, right? It's just to open people's eyes. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but there's new roads you can go down that you haven't thought of before. And it's not a complete map. I think there are other things that you can do that, I mean, I wanted to keep the book to be a reasonable size.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, I have to say it's full of really good examples. What I love about all of your books, you kind of you go and you've talked to so many people that you come up with an idea and a concept, and then you have loads of examples of real life people doing it in the flesh, which I particularly enjoyed. I really love. What was the name of that agency? Giant Spoon. I keep getting
Giant
that.
Spoon, yeah.
They do amazing work. That's
Oh, and that's how it all started. I mean, that was the inspiration for the book.
right.
I was at South by Southwest in America and
Oh,
was sitting in a restaurant, and all of a sudden people started leaving the restaurant. They left their hot food and left the restaurant. And my back was to the door. I turned around and everyone's standing out on the sidewalk. So me and my friends get up and we leave. And up in the sky was this drone show. There was this advertisement for a new television show. At the end of the drone show, there was a QR code in the sky. And you click on the QR code, and it leads you to a trailer for the show. And I became haunted and obsessed by this because, I mean, my whole career for the last 15 years basically has been devoted to how do we become the signal against the noise? Every person listening to you today, Maryrose, wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to be discovered. I mean, we have this urgency, and it's getting harder and harder to do that, with this tsunami of content that's swarming us and overwhelming us. But here was this example that was so amazing. And the word that kept going through my head is it's just audacious. And I wondered, is there a system? Is there a process? Is there something we could learn about this? How did they do it? How did they come up with this that could scale to businesses of any size? And that's where Giant Spoon came in. Because the Giant Spoon was behind the drone show. I called the president of Giant Spoon. I said, I want to come to New York. I want to sit in your meetings. I want to learn how you do all this. I want you to share all your secrets with me, and I'm going to put it in a book. He said, absolutely. And that started me down the path.
Brilliant. And how long does it take you to write a book? Because you've written 10 books now, haven't you? Or this is your 12th book?
This is number 11. Number
11, yeah. And how long did this one take?
Each book takes about 2 years.
Wow.
From really starting on the concept, and fleshing it out, and then doing the research, the writing, the editing, and then, as you know, in this book, there's a lot of creativity in the book, right?
Yes.
The cover is a one of a kind cover. There's a puzzle in the book. There's QR codes in the book that lead to fun case studies, but also a few fun little Easter eggs in there that people might not expect. So I love that. I mean, to me, it was a wonderful creative project, and now we're into sort of the promotion phase of it. But it's about
which is tiring. I can hear your poor voice.
I've been a little bit hoarse.
Can I let you just catch your breath there for a moment and just tell you an example from my experience this week, having read the book, and I just thought you're so right. So we're actually hiring at the moment for a new role, which is like an AI operations manager. So it's someone to manage all our GPTs and to manage all of our automations. And instead of doing the whole CV and cover letter, because no one wants to get that, we did a form. And when I got the results of the form in and I looked at it, there was quite a lot of entries, but you could see that there was about 70% of them all had the same answer to this one particular question. Chat GPT obviously wrote it. So literally, I just did my sorting by, okay, the 10 entries who didn't use AI in their answer, they're the ones that we actually looked at, and then they're the ones that we looked at having an interview. So it's funny, being different and being audacious, even in that kind of a job application like that, makes you get stood out and get noticed. So tell me this anyway, future-proofing marketing. Okay, so I've always sort of positioned myself as being a future-proof marketer. I always look to the future and what's coming. My question to you is are you feeling happy and excited, or are you feeling lost and overwhelmed?
Yes.
Yes to both. Very human answer.
I think the answer has to be both, because we're living in a time of magic, just absolute magic, right? And I think one of the sentences in the book is that every day in my career, I say, oh, wow, more times than being at a magician's convention, right? Because you're just dazzled. I mean, the other day I learned that people are using AI to try to learn how animals talk to each other, to decode the language of animals.
What about the emotion? Yeah, I heard about that. They can actually read emotion.
And drug discoveries, and just unleashing creativities in amazing new ways that it's just incredible and inspiring. So there's have to be something wrong with you if you're just not utterly amazed by what's happening in the world right now.
Yes.
But on the other hand, when you hear thought leaders in the industry repeatedly say this is the biggest technological innovation in the history of the human race, one of the things I talk about is this moment that we're spending together is the slowest moment of technological change we'll ever experience. So if you're overwhelmed now, it's just going to get worse. So it is a challenge keeping up, which is why I'm glad we have people like you to lead the way. on this stuff. And I think I don't know if there's a way to be future proof, but I think there's a way to be future relevant. And the sort of the methodology I teach is it kind of starts with your brand. It's like, what are you known for? What are you great at? And then stay focused there. It's like it's like a surfer with a surfboard. So the surfboard, that is the person's power, right? They've had this surfboard. This is, taking them to great success. And to be successful in the future, they don't need to change the surfboard. They just need the right wave. And innovation in the future is going to be applying AI to everything we do. So it's easy to be dazzled by text to video, or video to video, or website to video, or to create music and to create rap lyrics, and talk to animals and all the stuff that AI can do. But to not be overwhelmed, you've got to say, all right, here's my surfboard. This is what my business is good at. I am known for our great customer service. Where do I look in AI to make us even greater? We are known for our innovation. Where do we focus on AI to be even greater innovators? And so that really is the survival, is to look at, okay, this is what we're good at. Here are tools to help us, and then constantly looking at, be awake, be aware of what's going on in the world, the change, the mega trends in the world, to see where do you fit to be newly relevant. And I think that's the strategy.
And you're right, and not get bogged down with all of the noise. Like one of the episodes I love on your Marketing Companion every year is, the one you do with Matthew Sweezy, where you're looking at the mega trends in the year coming up. I love that one. That's a particularly good one. But you're right. I think that, one of the things that we do at the AI Institute is that we sort of like sift through a lot of that noise for people.
Yeah.
So it's like, if your business is this, you need to have these tools and you need to be open to these ones, but you don't need all the stuff. And it's interesting you mentioned text to video, because I don't really think text to video has come yet. I think it's not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be recommending businesses use it.
No, but the way if text to video is today where Chat GPT was in November 2023, then
Yes.
we're all going to be making movies at our kitchen table in the next 18 months. So
you still have to have the idea, which is actually, it's interesting. You mentioned that in your book about the whole thing. It's only really imagination that's going to make us win. So it's imagination and doing the stuff that humans do really well, which I would add is also that kind of critical thinking factor. I hear that again and again. There's three words I hear all the time. Human. I haven't heard the word human so much in my life as I have in the last few years. Yeah. Imagination, and then critical thinking.
Yeah. All and I think all are important, and in some ways all are imperiled.
Yeah, a little bit. Can I come in? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I come in on a kind of a critical thought or question for you on the book, right? And this was also kind of it was coming up in my mind. So I read the book from the perspective of, I imagine most of your audience are people who are like small business owners. They're marketing consultants. They're part of that kind of Mark Schaefer tribe of enthusiasts. And a lot of the advice in the book was talking about, hey, don't spend loads of money on the big ad budgets. And I was thinking, yeah, but we don't have the big ad budgets anyway. And then you were talking about and don't go out and just hire another, do it the same way. So I was kind of wondering, is there a disconnect between the very large and the very small? I imagine most of the people reading it who really get the most value from it would be small, and they wouldn't have the kind of budgets that they're being asked to throw away. They're forced to be more innovative anyway, because they have to do more guerrilla tactics.
I think small to medium-sized businesses clearly have an advantage here.
That's good.
I work with a lot of big brands, and they don't want to change. They are locked in to advertising agency contracts who don't want to change because they've done that. They know how to bill for a certain thing. They're
And that model
very,
has to change.
oh,
I've been hearing that for about a decade now, that the
yeah.
ad model has to change, and it
Yeah, I
still
mean,
somehow manages to survive.
that's what I wrote a lot about in the Marketing Rebellion book.
That's my
Um,
favorite of all your books, actually.
oh, thank you.
I used to give talks, and I used to just stand up at the top and play, that intro video,
Oh,
and
sure,
go,
sure.
I'll just play that, and I go, this, this is
Yeah,
it. I'm
yeah.
finished now. I don't have to say anything else.
Ah, thank you. That's cool. Um, but I think big companies are disconnected from their customers. They don't want to be connected to their customers. They want to delegate everything to an advertising agency. And I mean, I'm seeing this every day in real life, and they know they need to embrace the ideas that I proposed all the way back in Marketing Rebellion, and even today. I think Audacious in a way is sort of like the second chapter of the Marketing Rebellion. Is a continuation of those ideas, and they just can't do it. I mean, there's a quote in the book that just haunts me. And, I talk about how nobody believes your ads. We're in a streaming economy. People don't even probably see your ads anymore, but people trust each other. So we've got to create marketing stories that are so interesting and so worthy and so unmissable that people can't wait to tell other people about it. And one brand manager literally said to me, well, I understand that. I get that. I do. But how do we control what they say? And I mean, it's just
You're
like,
missing the
oh my
point, baby.
gosh. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
But
so
would they not be used to working with influencers where they have to, the
well,
way
they're struggling
you
with
have to let them go and do their thing to
well,
get the
they're
best value?
struggling with the same thing. They really are. So I think small to medium sized businesses that are just unencumbered by contracts and tradition and so many legal issues, and of course when you've got a big brand, you've got to move maybe slower because you've got more to lose. But if you look at the companies that are really dazzling today and the case studies in the book, I mean, they're new entries, they're disruptors. I mean, one of the stories in the book, I don't think it's a UK brand yet, but here in America, we have this water brand called Liquid Death.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
That
I
was really
mean,
good. Yeah.
I mean, the first lesson I ever learned in marketing school was never associate your brand with death. And, here they are
That's what they did. Yeah.
naming water death, and their mascot is called the Murder Man, and their advertisement is just off the charts
And it looks like a
disturbing.
can of beer
I mean,
as well.
disturbing.
Yeah.
It's really their ads are their ads are disturbing.
But they're
I
definitely breaking out in a sea of, blue water bottles.
yeah, that's right. And I have a new speech that goes with the book. It's a great speech, and I gave it at a big event out in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago, and the organizers of the event were looking at my slides, and I had an ad for Liquid Death in there. This is an ad that's like shown on YouTube. It's shown on TV, and they said, "Oh, you can't show that. You can't
You're
show that." Oh,
promoting a brand.
no,
Or
no, no,
because of the
because it
nature
was
of the ad.
because it was so disturbing.
Oh, is this the trippy one?
I said, "Well, try this
Is
one.
this the
Try this one."
psychedelic one?
That's Nutter Butter. That's the psychedelic one. I think
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it's like an acid trip. But it's the fastest growing beverage brand in the world
World. Wow. Yeah.
because people are just hungry for something other than a bottle of water that says Rainbow Springs. It's all the same, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so that's a perfect example of completely disrupting the narrative, completely disrupting where it's told and how it's told and who's telling it. So they're a great case study for the book.
There's loads of case studies in the book, and I urge anyone listening, if you're anyway interested in these kind of really maverick companies doing their own thing, I definitely say it's worth a read. Can I ask you one last question, Mark, before you go?
Sure.
Another one of your books that you read that I was a huge fan of, back around, I'm talking 2014 or something like that, The Tao of Twitter.
Yeah.
So you do know your bit about Twitter, and I just wanted to ask you, what's your feeling on the demise of Twitter? What's your vibe? Are you off it? Are you on it?
No, I'm still on it, and it's I mean it's just a shadow of what it used to
I
be.
know.
But I'm
It's
still
very
on it.
sad.
Yeah, it is. I think. Well, I mean, it's complicated. It's a very, very complicated story, but it reflects, a society that's become more polarized. I think any social media platform that depends on advertising for its revenue is going to be polarized because
Yeah.
hate is good for business. Controversy, dividing people is good for business because people fight and they argue and they spend more time on the platform and they can't tear themselves away from it. And so
Eyeballs, eyeballs,
it's,
yeah.
it's really a massively failed social experiment that unfortunately a lot of people are addicted to. And there could be alternatives that emerge, but they're going to have a subscription. And that's one of the reasons, like, I support Medium. So
Yes.
Medium is a much more wholesome place, and a much more inclusive place because, they make their money based on people subscribing to different authors that they love. And, I think the long-term solution would be some kind of a social media platform that has that sort of revenue model. Unfortunately, so many people just expect free for everything today. That might be difficult, but it's really the only solution, is to get off, the advertising revenue train.
Yeah, no, that's true actually. Thanks for that answer. I was dying to ask you that question as well. Well, Mark Schaefer, thank you so much for being a guest. I am really, really grateful. Once again, everyone, the book is called Audacious. It's a really, really fantastic read. Mark, thank you so much for coming on Chatting GPT. And one last question. Any tips for any virgins going to South by Southwest London? I know you're really into South by Southwest in Texas. What
Yeah,
would be your advice to someone like me going for the first time?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's my favorite thing to do. It truly
Yes,
is. It energizes me for the whole year,
great.
and it can be very overwhelming. So the biggest thing is you have got to plan ahead of time. Don't go in there and wing it. Download the app, study the schedule, pick the right path, and if it's like it's a big celebrity or something, normally that's going to be recorded. You can watch it later. So populate your schedule with people who aren't going to be recorded, but are going to introduce you to new ideas, new concepts, push your brain a new way. To me, it's the most inspiring thing I go to. I've gone, I think, 14 out of the last 15 years. I only
Wow.
missed it. I only missed it one year because my daughter was getting married that weekend.
How dare she? She should
Yeah,
have checked in with Dad about South
I
by
know.
Southwest.
What was
Oh,
she
that's
thinking?
fantastic. I
Yeah,
cannot wait. It's going to be like, I'm sort of thinking it's going to be like a holiday for my brain,
yeah,
as well as
absolutely,
all the people contact. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's so much fun. There's
great.
yeah, you got it's going where the action is.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, listen, I will see you around again soon, I hope, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on and best of luck in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you. It's been great talking to you.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.